for the betu dwana onim say osofo hwe o man sika sem so yabo dini ebiem ne ho mfa de ntie ro say chemensa bonsu na ekọ akako di sa adwuma meka say wo pia bedwafie o ne mo nya nhase emu nsam ne mama ne bo satie bia no ye de beso mo ene wie
abushia be konsam fufuro mu no oba bi hwo a wo bi de ne ka sika sini sisai empemu aduasa wo kwaje a watwe sika sini so twa watwitwa no
na unim se abantie beto dwa se wono ne mpra wo level 300 wabrim no ekunu no na asem no asori dendendende meka say ene court atranse di asem na court ka yekwakutie
enra so enkratu abushia ne Kasiebo ayade ma mo se abantie bi wo so yege ya bono yeso meyi tia no wababo na ene yi wachase e kasa wo so wo kono wono wo client bi wo ba bia no wo kono wono anu wo kwa akohia no nti Ghana fo mo na somnyo no
na yebema kotie ene ensembei ena amansaka bonko United Nation ne twetwefo pani waka edi afa coronavirus yade ho
abushia Kasiebo no wedo so ne aboabo anodibo ko Facebook we ene ye ka say yege die yo say yo babo bi atwese ka twitwa no ni nyina radio TV ya de bra ko Facebook wa wodi ye badom 106.3 FM wadwenche no di bi to ho like no wa share wo ko YouTube so subscribe Adom 106.3 FM ne bresem ni esine koso edi amawo
kaise Kasiebo enyumeku akasie bi na afa ho ka enei se wo be pepa wanim abra efifire ete wode mfa ye handkerchief ya ntoma de bi dabi floral disposable handkerchief no tissue ye bi nya ye ne sa hanki no ne echi fifire papa na pomdin 70 aja pepa wi ano ato akene unim ba bia o handkerchief na odi show botom no ekwa kotwi ana ebeto ana ebefa we de wo pepa wanim wi ya na wato akene wo na okro no wonsa so pepa wi ano ato akene floral disposable handkerchief papa Bright Senior High School kofodia kukrantumi o se enka nkyere mo a enei mo ya wofo na mo ni etutu aka mo nsem mo twa mo ni kurukuru sese be obi a ne tia prodan krom ka etu gya na mo ba bia mo fa mo ba no nko no o se akonya wo ho kofodia kukrantumi ha ya o mo obode kese dabre adekire edidie bibia da na kwan mu pepepe uko Zenith Bank Absa anase GCB a obenya mo form so bia na ye die eya obesi na edidie kwan enwa wa do ani kire kofodia kukrantumi a wa go to school ni mpanimfo no mama ba na kwan no wa bisua de ekwa ho ma form 1 form 2 4 na form 3 4 nyina Franco Trading Enterprise ne ton phone papa laptops ene ho akade printers ene wo di TV aba ka ho mo pe desktop ne ho ka ho nyina mo ko Franco de ne se ono ne ma no fa no bebre no atu aton eti mo amoso mo ton baako mienu no mo so de mo ko dura na se tufo bo ne de ema mo ko Google Play Store ne download Franco Trading app no watimi atade online na www.francotrading.com na okrokra MTN everywhere you go MTN say enebre dane so hu tikane auto credit na do wore grigri ubehu ana number na ba ko 2fm mesre wa ne o download MTN app no go phone so a obetimi de no auto credit obetimi de ayemo obetimi de to data obetimi de bia send kra ma obi a enya asem ketwa MTN everywhere you go na CD capsules CD no na just say chronic disease yade aye kwankro na ho duro na aba no opeso boost immune system na CD capsules no be na ye wo CD ointment so wa honam ya wa poso be ye firi ho ya yeso mo na wiei na say ampofo ejemene
akriabo achiwe yi Adom mabushia ne Kasiebo no yenhyase ne yenhyase mfiri baabia ye ko ensem abushia wotia wasuma yo se che wo baabi emfie aduanansia 46 years anu se ni sika emasusu yi awotwe no enkakran bode atoto honomo no wo baabi no wo so no wagigi susu eti wode tu onyesa ne damu o wo ba no wo so wagigi susu no enu wachi taku sempo ankakra ma no amasika no aduru sika CDC empemiensa ena wobe yaje agu ni botom o ebra so wobe yi kwa akwaje ni sika wobe efra ne sa amabono wo so akoya nipa odi sika no ma no patishi oduro si o hia me wurem ha na baju sika matususu me baji mi sika wo so wonhia ni wurem na wurem ho no mo ena amabono so wo kohia patricia patri no akwaje ni sika okodu ya wo babesi atwe sika ya bushia ko Facebook ko YouTube fili gado chi ko radio sɛneɛ Patricia sie twitwa mabono watwitwa ne sɛ tin sɛneɛ wɔtwitwa nantwinam no watwitwa ɔbaa no ɛwɔ wura mu hɔ no wɔwie yɛ wapɛ baabi afa adomfoyɛfoɔ ne nnipa bi a wɔkɔhu sɛ mabono yɛtwitwa no da hɔ no mo ɛne wɔde camera scene so ama ka wasɛm na abusua wode ntie ne ɔde to dwa biɛ
okwe wa mfama na odi mi ko si ni so na sister ka so be hwehwe dan ama enti dan ni hwehwe mmodi mi sika 30 million na no wonya dan ni bi me fra no so wonya blog da bi mehwe me be no so papa ne so de ama han na me say no first scan ma me no so me ntina na me kwa dan ni nya be me ti me ma tan en che ko si be nya dan ni bi ti ampam de me ma kakra be du no am ne na me be na me nya galamsey ni bi into our house, me and Kodam, one and make the Biasa. Tidaku, me are dining with curtains, me yes, 20 million for 2 years. Compass scanning 20 man and found with your curtain soup. Say, if you don't, my men for hand on if you run a yaka. And I'm so if you're not so toilet woman, so much make it. Or that you must see Cano Plano. Or the Amagalam says will be some funny, on the edge of every week, be a many interest. So can be a dime with Pocaham says, Sandy, or Papa, this cannot. See, now that your Pocaham says, cannot, or Kungalam say from 70 million to Okodiana. Ain't he, or Koy no, or Pay one farmer? Ain't he, I am a minute. I'm catching him here. I forgot him say, Edward, I am on date here 27 February, or this can be my. He said, you are not a lent me for hospital or settle on the cook. Yabano say, you know, this can be my. Ain't Yabano catch a hospital, I was being put on a site. One of them maybe on the pony. Sister, may I lost me up. Your boy was me to a man and I'm a true man, my sister. Was any young Cody, and my mother was so. The minute run or so, you trade you on the very food. So you manage to train me any big woman. I'll catch a man so coffee, and I may me by a fine bar in secret. And a man see there, woman here, or see there be one sign for a pamu, one minute. Miss may be all women in baby, yeah. Or see I am found for being in secret. Timidine, a cheap young will trade you. You are full of this summer. If you are here, there was a made for Kanya nature. Tiakon was in the common, so they send me Nika and then medical. Medical. To a no de Kaya for an chan or done any, Memomas, or the Gianna Bomber. Or did Gianna Bomber no sad, the abdomen was 150. Then was sad, the abdomen, she tried to purchase or Boba this time Monday. Was in the pool, I'm a I'm just a canning now, dear Jammy, never sicano. Was missing me. The one was so many minutes, was so many minutes, was so many minutes, was so many trimming, was so sad. Such as I did with the same word.
Abushia so wo YouTube anasa wo Facebook are nipa no a watwa wahia no wo ba no na da fam ho no mo a mo ka no mo mfa no nkɔ hospital no mo mfa no nkɔ no wo fra prosifo am wa bewe o sade bani o ene wo de camera aprosifo na aduru wura mu no prosini ba ahomada ne nsa ene wo wura mu ho no mo a wo mo kɔye wo ba ne da fam o no wo sɔre ye no mo tumi pagya no no hwɛ na tikɔ ne kɔne achi sei wo ba no di se dua o sase kan yo watwa hɔ no mu se hyew and watwitwa ne nan ho watwitwa ne boso aka mo eti kasa ya mutie nyina no eyo ba yetwitwa no a woda from and ye de kasamu asi na no and wo kasa woda fam and wo kasa ne yonku beeku no adan ya wagye ne sika wo se wodi sika no koye brofum yes investment na se no ye de odi koye de na ama no
se odi ko
she dwuma mu ama no adwuma ama edan ya me
no ababa no one da fam na o kasa no one da fam twon mogya ne ade nyina afore ne ho sa no
wahu minia megidie nso se yese ya na nipa ni suro se ye de ensa kokan we ye be se ya danse ena wo ba ne da fam ho no mo no na yenkwa homa so abusia
ne mo maso no twa na etwa sa na se ye no
dua no se wose dua no di kan de bo ne mo maso kan ansana ne kwani achi so no sa wo hwe video na ekwani mu on be pagya na tena wo he ne kwani achi so a ewo so watwa nana ewo de
mogya na afọ na tade ne twon
mogya na afọ na tade twom oda honom no wo so osra ne posa mesrew wo de misika ni nti na wo kum ye gyae wo se mekun
na chese da oda ho a okasa no na sori no ntimi nsori nti na oda fom tim a
na say ya bona ma ne da fom tim asemi wase japa Memphis East wase japa ene si ye eti yenkwa homa so na kofa ba ne bode asemi ba ye yense ntwireni wa homa no so asona ba manasko kura di biba asona ba ma ho
Mejojo ABY
na fie boja ye de na nke enim se ye nti ne ehu ke bekodin na so ebi na asa be da hoi wo be yi oda ho no mu no wono ni nipa no a chese ni sika akoka kamu no na nipa no a wo bobo no no wo wanyefa
yo ABY medase na mama chefo nyina na akwa ba abepie mu wa Memphis East wo ataye mantem hanmo na ni nyina ne se mame a yehu no wo mfoni mu a wonya mfinhia be se aduanan enum Madam Patricia Odru ono ena sabwe ni sika wode koma ono ane nyonko oba ususu se ni otumedi ni se enyambra sema wudi sema ati se ye dodo na efe no amabono na dodo na sanso fe no comfort na ni nyina emu no kyese ofikuma se no bepie mu ewo wasa ampatem ha na so bepa adwuma ye na wahwe ne mama mienu.
Hello Asunaba nyabuchi o na kyese party ni momu na da ho amabono ena di nsemone no
amabono na odi nsemone na sabre oda police fokukum
o na kyese o matumi ache no
sarpete
ho ne ye ntitu asoma yen
yo eti mami kyeremu a na kyese bu fasantemem na bepie mu ewo japa na obepa adwuma ye se de be ya ne mam mienu a wo kyese ni kunu agya no ya ebre bi abesen ko no na etiti mu remu ehwe wo no no watumi enya kwan ahwe wo no mo enu ti wo de ne sika ye 3000 Ghana cedis e de ma de osisi se watumi edi sa bani amabono no se onfanto ho na oni nyina na ti efie ba kum na okache ni se ebre bi bedu a me hai edan na me di bi aye adwuma enu nti ebre bi se wonya adan de okache no no okire se sa efie ho de oni no mo enka nti nya de a obepene ma okotena ho na emom ni sika na ode ma no to ho 3000 Ghana cedis no enuanum bi a wono mo etu afuma gudie no se wo ma wono 1000 Ghana cedis a na wono so ma 1002 na che profit of 200 Ghana cedis abeka ho enu nti sika no so hwe bre na ode ma no edi eto ho no no a na che so de aye adwuma no ma che eti amabono no kire se sika no aba bedu 7000 that is 70 million 70,000 enu nti no enam so ma o kire se sadia manya dan ni bi eti ma me 2000 na me fan ko tua me dan ika na de aka no so no me fan peg me bi emfa enye no amabono se won konkoja no na onkonkoja adwuma e wo site enu mu no ene de se otwa adua yi a ode ebro no e wo kwan mu ho no ma sabab no kase no watwitwa no ama ma me na dawura mu ama de achi
anti na chese no wa dawura mu ho ama de achi ne ehunu ei
sabe pe ne tie
ni wonya nwu ye da woda ho ye a waye mre pa wada wa ama de achi na wo se na woba amabunu nim se wawu nti no ogya no ana sesen
osi ebra wo twitwa no ewieye no ordinance be share ne him ehwe se oje ahome ana eti emu no ho no bibi bari mu ma otua ahome e ma amabunu no hu ni se sabe de wafiri mu eti no wagya no hormoko na asem oka edi ekere ne se next time wu so esore koba na wabeka chem se obadu sika na okoye eti oda ahoma ade kin ye ni mu no ene te se odonfo bi etwam otiatia mu obi emam yo miwu ene manche ne be su di mu che on baba police for someone ya sabra no kase de suspect ama abunu worma che no na me no kase ne ade o mod na court ama court I remind no 2 weeks sabe oda police for kukum
yo wunim asuna ba ma mensre wo a se yanya party ni mfo nyina ama abunu de no ba bia be wura de bebre ye bia ye age ama abunu kope ni mfo nyini bre ye wate ba besi anya be ma
ama abunu
video num
on na she bru atade bi no
wo ba bia wo huru wonom no ase wo yi phone bi
ani ayu asafo on ne boduku no on na chim duku se blu
eti se wo hwemfonyi ni ya ma me ne kire se ye wo no gina ho no
ama bunu nie
so tie ko
wasa yi phone atua na so na ne ye nwie ye nyabotere wo gina ho no muwe no wohwe wono ne tenten ne nana wo ba no oda ho na nko ba no grandpa o
ni petiti ale omhuhu
samu
hwe
omhu ande che ye no ma tenten
ni petiti adwenbo ne ba ni tirimu a
na wo ko hwe kwasi agiman
ebi na me hwe se esi o ha
yesu hu ye mobo na asem ya breho enti na aminu abema aprosifo no ena de amabono eba ba bi a wo ba ne da no
Sa pepe na tie.
Enu obedu ho no mo wagitu mu se wonno ba besia no watumi didua atwitwa no yonko tintintin saa no.
Odu ho no na chese wo twi dare se enyo no a na maame ne kire se na ofi se mawu. Minwi eye wa na wo de me ba ha mo asem ma meja wa be di mi se ewu ya me da ha mama de ache mi.
Ei. Asem ye hu abushia baby esi ye no wasa japa ena esi yo na we die asem no nipa no a woyo ye ni nyina na wogina wo no wo ba yi gina wo nyina me ka asa bia wo frese amabono no a wode wadane dua sekan na dua po no watum dia yese ne sa so sekan mu dia enye papa ne yonko ba wode meka famisika mamia wadane bucha
ade a me pese me bisa asona ba se anye bia baba wa no omo ba no omo de ne ba ya na se omo betie ne no asem wi no omo kofa ne ba ye
wotie ni asona ba ka no a wose wo mo aprosifo no so omo beto oba ni wuram wo ene wo bodin sa amabono ene aye
be se amabono na me ka se omo ba no omo de ne ba ya na tambe no no be pie wuram ho no eno na me pese obi
asona ba aprosifo na de ne ba ye
ko ye ni se amabono no ne madam Patricia woda efom hormo yi no one nyina ne tifie eti according to maame no ono chem se obafie de bisa se ade achi ye nyina no minhu mama part emafie ofo no ekire se na se wa na won ne nam ade chi nso wa na ne na pie eti se wa ko na se o ma ade a na ye wo ene bebisa afiri ho eti ne te se akwati se esisi ne so
yo mini abemantu se na awotwe mienu achi na amabono wo ye ba tani abobomma anase wo yo ba benia boa ye ni o
ono so wo ma pa
wo yo ba wafo
oni kunu but wo ma
wonu wagina ho no abusua ayoade ne me kan waye ne kama wayi amabono nko a beto nchen eti wo apeso hu amabono no wonu wabo mimfi taduku fontua na so
ya na no ne
na ne pause hye ne motoam pause no ana ne fon hyem no we ni duku so abo no de a ene ye gene je ayi yanko nana asuna baba na watwe mienu ntam ye besa hia why ye da say
say
otwirim na watwe mienu say na omo de na kokoto na o maremande no ye so onkotwirimu woni wagina ho no amabono
wo hwe say de osi chinchin ni duku krabe no wa so pani
dabi nkoho we duku nua na say wonim duku bo unse omo ewo moma no wombo duku nu esi so photo nu a ni ayo ade aba no pa nanim eda ho no mo wabata ne owo mma wo eti chese sika CDC mpem sen
miensa
mpem miensa
30
million tinku okunu o
ne nkofo de call line ku
na na tie wo sesa ne osi ye ne se wo born wie ne ode ne nsa ko hye wo ba ni eti wo ye expert killer wo ye killer kasa wo yi movie anko ye killer wo so okwan ne ode ne nsa wura ne huni mu ene oba ne so hu so opeso hwe se wawu a enti otwia home tuode ne nsa wura ne huni mu wie no se next time wo ko ba bie mu a no wasa beda
na ma fame ni hwade ehun se eyi bi toma bi dan nsa na mka se eye roman fo de ni bia we nko ade nka roman yintu nsanzu ye betu na san ye nto so na ye beko so atwen na unim se awu December akoso eda ye pro so no ye hwe nka ho asem enwiye na sa asem no eye ababawa a wono wo level 300 ewo evangelical Presby University College no wo hu na yese abantie Philip Caesar onya finhia aduonu nkron ono ne kanchema ene saa ababawa yi Elizabeth Apalo onya finhia aduasa ba ko patcho no so ko Facebook a emfoni ni video no wo ho na abeto dwa se wo brim ne kanchema yi amana famu ato na nanam wonse do na enei de yete ene se yede abantie Philip Caesar akwakwa pie kotu na yenua ba Ivy ena ekoya okopie ho sedien ena court ne ka sedien na oka Ivy good afternoon
good afternoon
muko court no say die na court aka afa Philip ho
well he appeared briefly and they remanded him into police custody for 25th of March where he will reappear for further examination. For now he was remanded so that the police can continue with their investigation.
Remanded for how long?
He will appear again in court on the 25th of March.
25th of March nti say na je say ububu a be say na wotwe be mienu ne kakra
Yes.
Ba ye no wo hwe ne dimi na no a say na eluki wonu ne ho.
I was looking normal, not so happy. He appeared sad. Yes, that was it. And there was no counsel representing him for now. Yeah, so no, how he appeared.
So what was his pleadings? Say, or you guilty? And I say, and then one can sample or court.
He said he did not know anything about what they accused him of, and the lady died on Monday.
So he denied killing the lady.
Yes, actually, he allegedly beat or assaulted the lady. He did not kill her. He allegedly assaulted her.
Oh, okay. Now you say,
yes, so there are allegations by the lady in a WhatsApp chat to a male friend and some other friends of hers that he's been abusing her, assaulting her over some misunderstandings. Okay, so the last misunderstanding was when, according to the lady, he beat her on the 7th. And then she was rushed to the hospital after she went out to have some drinks with some friends at African Hill on the 7th. And then that was last Sunday. She was rushed to the hospital after she complained of chest pain and difficulty in breathing. And she was rushed to the hospital by her friends in her car. And on Monday, during treatment, she gave back the post.
So, Ivy, is this the narration of the prosecutor or the accused?
Yes, please. The prosecutor.
Oh, okay. My name was in Founcy, so na yen chain Yamia Domoa, March Bosome no, also Neda Etoso Edunu, is it 24th or 25th?
25th of March.
25th, all right. Enti, Ivy set or Gino copy court. Ewo eye ho na wotre se wo kyerem se court no ahye se yemfa no kotum match wo sumi na to so aduonu no yemfa no menti abante ne de mehu na ma reho se ye se hwe nipa ni mfa mu na tan na we ho na nimu a bibia ni wa kyerɛ se sebe predia so wudi ni
we no
na ni fe ababa wa no so ho fe
anim ye fanboy
na be ma fe se de obo ba sei
yes, what born in present first 1, 2, 3, 4 baby one.
Also body or born name wankuno.
Wajia to Mr. Wabon
or born no but wankuno.
You and your suppose mutim. Postmortem, Bebania,
postmortem,
postmortem,
postmortem, yet him,
postmortem, the bar, a team, postmortem, the bar near who said,
a brown and nam so, and I said, before fra, it's yen watching him postmortem, the bar, you be. I just saw man in pipe when we had danced. I said, Bianco Papa, and I didn't say, Grada, so what I say. Now, your mamma for us to say, you so any temperament, her say, budget, no, say, Rose, say, James. So shall I say Kim some ka say mfiafia ho nse parliament won mo ne man mfiafia ho kakra ne nkomodie kakra kre so to mu ano yenso yem waso mu e wo ho yento aso ekua
abushia ya to aso na ne Kasiebo no ade ba ne de ene yesese ne ade firi ho aba no ba ko bi so boboba enum ra hye badwam mebi ase etehu kakra ya burayirem no ba ko ba etu do dia ni se temdin wuti Adom FM wa ba ko bi ba na etofem setim na sase apai ansa na yede ani be kire wo no yenkwansam fufuro na enura wo anwumre Kasiebo mu ne ebo mama ne se abantie bi asa wo hwe video no YouTube ni Facebook ni yedem live ye brezi wo wono mo abantie wo gina wo isa wo hwe nani mu da brekire kakra se wo kita wo phone no a fa kwa kire kakra wan hwe ya abeka so yo ba emma kura yesi ye bopa da twi makeup yi wo a wo hwe me live no tim se Midday to da na atwitwasi abantie ye tumi adebre se ye natio se ye ntwuma wo waka ntwuma no wonim sane emma no ya ebi won mom so mo brahwe se ba ko bi ne ye de aye ye mfono so na ete shine abantie ya ye ni nyina bi wari abo brezia na brezia ye bono no se ye brezia hwinim brezia tonwuro ne bono en wato pure water ye tone no pure water ye tono no wode ahye brezia numu wato pure water o en wode ahye brezia num en wa brezia ne nsa no wakekere en wabɔ no wahye atade asi so wo wie ye no wakoto ahwene ma hwene ye ma dodo na akura bi nwu asene abantie ye hu akota hwene wo wie ye na fomu no aba no a ma no a wose nyame to ye ode ma we hwama wo eti wo be hye bottom pad abantie ye asa bobi ne fom chen ayi wo twa ne se beti no wode ahyehye ne to wo kwahia wo so wo ye gay video no na da ho no mo no abusua hwade abantie ana wonena ne nam ententenwa wo kwahia wonu mu akire no hweka no obata ho no nyane die o wonu mu akwache no bi ene wode wo kai asi wo mu bisa na no asem yi ne ho niema wie ya abantie ne se wo customer ne customer was ampotem wono mo etuku ohia no adagya no o mabɔ no wo hwɛ YouTube a ne pia water hyehyɛ ne bo o mayagu o se nya ho no wode ba anku o twam akɔ ne baabi eti wonu mu ache no agina ho bɔ na adagya ne nyina wonya no no nkɔ ne baabi no wo no customer ene baabi a wode ekro asam na prosifo asom na ade abantie no yentie nwinwinwi bi a no wo ye ne wono mo wo kɔ hia sɛ ne o kasa ye ne ho no na me client was our client abusiafo client yo wasn't a client one potem one walk or and war nadia yentie bi mrei
ejuma we awo ye ejuma pama kasa otio sir mimi kuma sora e ka toy after we bia wo da tina kaka tamashi gwanda baba we kara tamashi kaka won baba chief we bu ka o ntubu be de wo busha ase obisa kasa
boy minim ni bia misimi ni bia na me bo I don't know him anyway
then what are you doing Bema no boy man wanda ni no oba hey you Bema why oba bebia amani no who obusha say oba ye no akobenya akola kitwa bi no odi na wura no bonu where you there me be so taka chire ba chire where you there I na me the chire no abanga where you there what you na so me be so
abusia wo hwe abantie no a video no edika no hana na we here response no me se ponse we di age me kohia mba bi no a kire mbo wa ne wunso mutumi bɔ a no om de bibia fo mo hwene so na hwene na yetea ene ohwene bafo kora na yetea hwe ni mo nim ye wo de afa ne hwene so no eyelashes no so ehye ne firi akoka hamile ena wasa atu nani achi red gold green and wo wie ya wahye mata de maxi esine naso and wabo ni duku aka ho na omo hye ase so omo wuro no ho no nkrampan wo awire no ho se na hwi ni mo eti ne niema no no wayi agu ho no wo hye ase odi kan duku no wadi kan yi no no oyiba mako
me do nyame se we uhia ne baabi a onka so yo bema
ai oh se
hwe ne hwene no se de osi ade na fa ne hwene ni mfimfin se sa na ne se mo ya no
ade we ma ya me hu ye sa de ye refa hwene so yi me ya na chia kan nyanya me na adome na me hwene ye yi dada ka me hwene asai eso hwe se ne wasi aye waya ma ne hwene na ye tia na hu so mo ye makeup ni wi a
se ne nsa no kra no waye ni se sa ma
kasa na shine ne kasa no we he se ne wosi kasa no wo kasa o se ne client bi won potem ho no mo
se no me ba na we ne nka ho na
wo hu na se Medina prosifo ba mu wahu eti meme ne di ne ntenta wo so nipa kura no wo hwehwe no wo bɔ ntampe ana wo ye sa akɔ bibi won ho wo sam kɔgye an wo di na chia
ye ni sisi achia ba hwe se de wasi ayama ne to na apofo
ahwene no we satam no munyi bottom pad wahu brazia no
nso na hihye mu
ai se we ye pure water ni bia pure water ni bi ene hihye mu no wahu eno no wode ahihye mu se ye pure water num nyina mantie de hihye brazia mu wo magye brazia asaje pure water so aka ho se brazia ebu ya yeden wonu ma
akam se hu toma na gusu no
toma no so combination no efe ahwene no combination no na senior
toma de ni board ni bia
wenya papa unimu wenya papa
sa
wenya papa wenya papa
say
we and your chen fishire nwini ni bia so okọ man no ewodwom ho na wenya papa and ye no nkwan de ho tin makeup no otwi ni ni aka ndi otin toma no enye papa ni bia nti ni combination
na wo fa be man sa twetwe to maka
ho yentie Patrick Asiama akwa no ni din no Patrick Asrama na semo
yes your friend Jebel
ni din na brofu din no
Debbie ne ma din no Jebel yeah yeah
boy boneno
Ojabe na queen just time no na oba da be na oba area obisa sa
any 3 days
ube den wa mi bisa mesu aso ube den wa kasa ube den wa client no just a client wa client wa say oh no wa ifa
oh around ba
client ayira nti client ba bia wo bia no Jobel
to no hwe hu say ngwase ya banana fuma
wo hwehwe ne client nti nana yenkoye ni mu na nsem beba
Oma fa adwenkyere no se de o masi ahase e ron commentary fa abantie hu no se so sister hu mi hu se mi friend
sister bi
ya semuni
ese so awo friend no bra ni bubefu o pe sister no
awuja kede lali no se asemu Ghana na still alive for Kenzie no say Adom News my addicted sanse de bia nsempankwa na modeba Christiana Sunday no say asemu amanfo de sa adiza to hudu no say Adom FM wow 9k jesi ye kase ye nyo short ase dada kwasi no say stop pretending as if you are more faithful than him na no hwan asem na okay
na hwan aka faithfulness asem
mususu tele bia mutumpa jein mama ye kwasi ara men kan omo ebinu di na tempa kwasi bibire ndi enye maame pikin no say better slay king osi we is slay king Francis na nasafo no say ABI no lovely and nice face you have me
parentia kazenza nkamperentia dina nkame ya die ni so
ye Michael Jackson no ye Dominic Owusu eno say akwa hu time papa na Nana Kofi Miles no say what a shock for Sinayamfo eno say 9.1k Adom News no size na we dia wo de ebaye na secret swado no say ababa na udie no say ensem bi ho no mote a e waburuchira ya na amaga na bakra ya omoden kakra 30 million ti ni ye brim obi saa no ono no e de eno aba na ye bomode enche bia mpacho ye bebo e de awura oman mrashe bedwafie na yakwa kofa budget no ho asem e de aba na yento aso na yenko yanim akwa ode amanfa dwenje kakra beto aso na fi
na ye bi ebeto aso na kanem mrashe bedwani ma omanfo ye owokumbugu won so na kache nsem firi wo bapa hu se Kasiebo a ye hyase de baaye islegon nsem ya aprosifo wo nsem a wo ye nhwehwemu ewomu efa Prince Charles ho no na yedada etwero nsem bi eba yesa wo ba bi a wo awade mu ya wo fa atiti mu no bomoden se wo betwe ho ene former MP Ras Mubarak atekere odi aba ten eti ye benya daje ni nyina ye bekom na ye bomoden ye saka wo so de a ene ye de betwa so na bisia madwenche ni bi ni kwadwo Malinton edindem de biba wose na hwan akwai mugidi se makeup no wono a na ye fi se makeup we de be nwanwa se obetumi aye makeup no de eje wono a kirim e fi se wabo makeup no na Mickey Hughes Jr. wose nyame hu ye mobo na Norte Jonathan wose at long last na da ho no na Christiana Choli so de ye odi aba wose gise nyame hu ye mobo Ghana ba bia ne mekeka kono se twedi ampon wanom ye ne a ne ma beje nsemu AK champion so edie one day New York City and was wo hwe ye free was say nana monchia Belinda champion mame enchia no ko Erikus fie preso edie ni was say nyankopon abantie fa no bone che no waboro so watra so wokwa animu dodo ena mosque GH was say eboa hwe abaye so ya bantios abaye o wo ya ye Ghana most beautiful nti se mo de ne bekọ ho a okonko disciples so na de ne di aba no was ekuedi na ekoso Ghana no an ye kire wo no ye ekoso ye wuramu an ye de aba ensentwefo bo mu gina adwenkyere no so ho na ye mo hwi mfie ni nkyere ka so anansa ne tututu obi kọ so na sojafo obi kura ho bom mu se me ka say awutu of Akko district court atena se ahye se yemfa nipa no nkonkotwere mu na Kofi Agye ekokọ to Kofi
nothing
boko de
Adom
court upon
court upon but on case the court upon
all right it's court saying
if you are court to chance emantu amakumako enu yemfom ya ekosi fosi kokukum na busumi owo edi enefu aduonu enum 25th yensan formula court give sentence analysis to asemi suna penio dum Samuelese on the examina CID obija kenkan se we doji esia subo ade abom na se charge ade abom no makumako enum charge makumako num na ade abom conspiracy to commit crime namely robbery and a 2-year robbery 3 causing harm and a 4-year prohibition of activities of langa and a control of public display of arms or ammunition. That's it. Quite do I the opposite have land here, so you for me na best yes you so but
Kofi efoni a wo de eba ye soja fo ni mienu ne ba ko bi a tuntum ase de ti ho dwon ne kokko no ana se omu de na soja ni no esan se eda Facebook se se be ya manfo be hunu ensem na wo de ma ye mu nkyire mu yie no
na se omu mienu na on ba ko tiri ba ko kokko no ana ba ko ase
omu na ya soja fo no
pepe
na ba ko ya na bodwe sefu ani ti wa ye se wi teacher ye
onu ayemranti a echese no mu ka asoja fo no ase omu we the counterpart omuka asojafo no omuko boss akọ no omu na omuka asojafo no ejagase ite no omu de so omu ye langa fo omu ana omu pani ba ko mu ni dinje e bi akwachi nganje o ke makela bi se ni sam nanti ene makela bi nenam enti sam nanti ne ebo asojafo no mu ko ye boss akọ no
dia ye tie ne se court se ye fo mu nkotwiri mu yensa fo mra se da ba biem na court be sa atena se
court just 25th busumi o ya eji enefu aduonu enum 25th March ya yensan formula court bi na court start atene so bi kanka court bi agbo we ma fun akumu omo ko bokro no o ma ki bo so ko bokro no namba omo bokro no omo se amount wa de omo sa tutu emekwan nam na pass and e dia ya semra awa langa ko ntamra ni ya no and e dia we sa branch ya menuka so maswa shi bisia de government do mu nya sa kwa police for kumbi eti soja ko ka no so de o mo jai e de ama Ghana on for se o me form ka no ta ban ko be makam
Kofi yeda se na o mo tuo ne ka mo mu prepare se o mo te sei
o se de o mbusu eti aka se ya ko ya abuba no eti ene dai ene o
abuba ne da so shem
ati o mo na no mo ndani mu
Hey
Panian ya wo mo se be ya abwani ntimi ombodi ni modam enti o je se twa be be ana o mra na ye fom ko tia kan ko ya ba no modi
Kofi medasi bebre ma memfa wonsi nyame Adom a 25th na ye 25th ho court betra se na wutu of Akko so court betra se 25th ekya ya Sunday tini to why
ededa ho
yenko
empire ho
abusia se wutie ye ha Adom 106.3 FM wa santimantem so dia ne nhira no bebre botwo efise da nhira 104.5 wo bankran ha sempa 94.7 FM ya affiliate stations ne so de eburu twi mu nwi ba bia ye dem live na YouTube na Facebook so ye brezi wo hono mo na ye ntua Kasiebo no so ne ye nkwa yanim yensi dwadie mu kakra adwadifo ebo
Ghana say coronavirus yade ye ba ye ne ahokyere a abeja wo so no wase ese woje wo ho anye wo kwasika kora bia mu se wonum hia bosia wo hia sika dia ya dwuma so a ye mfi won eti mampani nanado we die wonsa de wonsa yam wo sra se baby adwadifo ye wo mayimu wo benya sika no wo dwadie abodie akwaso hyew no wase mampani hu omobo Samu Penna, Wada Ghana Union of Traders Association Guta no, Dr. Joseph Obedia to Jane say, budget yampering for Bekan in Neno, was a mampeni, Wokania Neja for Womudia, and your best was Sakapuma, Nuan Chiapano.
Okay. You, Minya Medawase, and question credit. One more to me, Eddie near my free, Ewa Manone, Ibukra. Abosome miensa anan na eche wakutua sa covid nsensem ba yi abrofu anan ko mo no eboa ye mienya sa abosia ede ye adwuma na wo so ye challenge wo so akwa ahokyerem ti wo munya sa sika no enti asi ye ba ye krom ya ne ye to compound ye kohwe se ye banks ye betumi ama ye sa abosia ya ekwan da ho efo kakra ne yetimi de aboyebra ba ye krom ya no so okopa bosia kura na wunya no kurani eno kura ne kum wadwuma because wo betumi atua ye ensihu na wo ho no be abosume ye mfie ba miensa no na se adwadie na odi no na asai adwadie nkoso na no eye because of cost of borrowing capital acquisition no you know very expensive and until ya the ato abanim say a papi no say Bank of Ghana ehu ya mobo no ati base rate no so na what the bar for commercial banks no ma from bi na commercial banks no ejina de omu jina asade no hadwen na ubusa commercial bank na o say risk ye high anything na ya nyankofo bejibosia wo mu ntua na kofo bejibosia anything na mo yi lawyers mo risk teams wo ho se mo do mu fiko asa na mo de bosia amobi dem mo anya mo adwuma eno no nche se mo anya mo adwuma ye mo negligence no mo be pass no on to obia wono no e de no kre aba beje no bosia otua it's never done anyway enti your banks, your commercial banks, are not helping us. Na enona ye senka aban emomod na onfa enshebi embra commercial banks no so ne onhye omukete.
Abushani ayati ye doctor wo ben ye tini ninu na pani se da bia ni amaba kan budget ye beti wo wide chasnet twa ya jeje no wo nu mutremu ni ese drawo se no die no wo to agu nsuo mu wo se no mpanimfo de wano adonwera nti we die se mukọ na budget no se ye kenkan wi a muka se tuo nipa abotua wo magimu mo betre mo nkwa ba mu amana kofa mu a agya ben se wo Rada abai hwese no be yadwuma
Jim FM Asempa FM in Shirai FM
Yefa na se manyuma kwa kase a onmaso ya sinema Kasiebo edebremo MTN everywhere you go network papa aya kai se ebribia be download my MTN app no ede egu phone so na boa mo adi dwuma bebre Franco Trading Enterprise egu so kai so ton phone papa laptops printers ene wadi fridge ni TV kra ba ka ho enti bibia wo hia wo fie de okọ Franco Trading Enterprise obenya bi na obenya na papa ne boss wo fom mo amu to ne mo amoto no baako ye digwa so internet so ene okọ Facebook 100,000 likes ene de yebro so afei so no obekọ eye Google Play Store na download Franco Trading app na ebeboa papa ena afei so eye Bright Senior High School gusu agen koda menim ba bia computer do ba no to ye bi kura ba no nya suku onya yeso ba bia onya yesi de akoda so person okọ boarding fa ne ko Bright Senior High School na omonye akoda no kufodua kukrantumi ena school no wo forms ni bi GCB Bank ena afei Absa ne Zenith ena Flora disposable handkerchief ena dey say dey paper enim e dey bibia bacho ye ko me mra se bejafie na meka say Ghana mampani be dey che Dr. Alhaji Mahmoud ba omiaba bedru chief of staff ma me fremo pare enso so betena se machidwemfo ni nyina transi yero se che mensa bonsu wono na ebe kenkan eye budget ne no wono nso so se me ka se me hu so wagina ho che se wahya se ebo ne nkrata achi metumani a me hu yero baomia na yere Samira baomia ene mpanimfo bi a kyese nya asem ketwa yo Peter Makmanu mu nyina wo mu na oro se che mensa bosu anya afro agina paso pacho yenko na yenko tie budget no akenkan no se de esi eko na ya ben wate de ekoso bi ewie so be nyanto wase ne adwudwam akirikirem Kasiebo didi dimu no nyina fa na baako ne de amamo yentie yero o se che mensa bosu
for the approval of the budget statement and economic policy of the government of Ghana for the year ending 31st December 2021. Right Honourable Speaker, let me at the very outset express my profound gratitude to the President for the trust and confidence in me, the Minister with temporary responsibility for the Ministry of Finance. In these past 5 days, I have received massive cooperation and indeed guidance from His Excellency, the Vice President, the head of the Economic Management Team, Mr. Charles Adom 106.3, the President's representative at the Ministry of Finance, and designate for Finance, Mr. Ken Furiata from far away United States of America, the technical team at the Ministry of Finance. May I also thank my colleague, ministers, and members of Parliament for the expression of today, Friday, the 12th of March. Let me also, Speaker, to Mrs. Irene Cheme-Sabonsu. Let me just say, what can I do without you? Mr. Speaker, colleagues, I want to believe.
Honorable Minister, is it an invitation for her to come and stand by you?
Mr. Speaker, you know that she is a stranger in this house, and our rules will not permit her to stand by me. Otherwise, I know I will have the permission of the minority leader, in whom I'm sometimes well pleased to be by my side. The Speaker, I was saying that I want to believe that the facts of the majority leader in the government business, one of our own, presenting the budget statement in this house, should provide sufficient mitigation to subdue the flame of heckling from the professional hecklers. From the professional hecklers. Because they know themselves. And I know one is pointing at me now. Right, Honourable Speaker, honourable members of Parliament, on the authority of His Excellency the President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, I beg to move that this Honourable House approves the financial policy of Government of Ghana for the year ending 31st December 2021. On the authority of His Excellency the President, and in accordance with Articles 179 and 180 of the 1992 Republican Constitution, permit me to present to this august House the budget of the President of the Republic of Ghana. Speaker, this statement is an abridged version of the 2021 budget statement, and I would like to request the Hazard Department to deem the entirety of the budget statement and economic policy as having been read and capture same in the Hazard of today, Friday, the 12th of March, 2021, upon my completion of this submission. The Speaker also submits to this august House the following statutory reports. The 2020 annual report on the petroleum funds, in accordance with Section 48 of the Petroleum Revenue Management Act, 2011, Act 815 as amended, the 2020 report on the utilization of the African Union levies, and third, the 2020 annual debt report in accordance with Section 72 of the Public Financial Management Act 2016, Act 921. Mr. Speaker, on 28th of October 2020, and in accordance with Article 180 of the 1992 Constitution, government laid the expenditure in advance of appropriation in this House. I wish to report that the subsequent approval of those estimates by this august House has made it possible for government business and public services delivery to continue uninterrupted in the first quarter of 2021. Speaker, just 3 days ago, on the 9th of March 2021, His Excellency, the President of the Republic, Adom Akufo-Addo, presented the first message on the State of the Nation of his second term. In that address, he clearly stated that even though, like other countries around the world, we've had to go through the worst possible pandemic of our lifetime, the nation is in relative good state, thanks to the grace of God and to the swift, decisive, responsible, and necessary actions taken by government to contain the virus, support families, and sustain the economy. Today, Mr. Speaker, I stand here on behalf of the President to present to you and the House the state of the economy, how we have managed to mitigate and survive the pandemic, and eke out a projected positive growth rate of 0.9% in 2020, contrary to the initial fears of a negative growth rate as experienced in many countries. I will also present to you deliberate and well thought out strategies that will hasten our recovery and place us on a confident path of sustained economic transformation. Mr. Speaker, the year 2020 was a difficult period for Ghana and the rest of the world. Never before in recent history has a pandemic triggered such dramatic changes to lives and livelihoods simultaneously. The last of such pandemic of global impact was the Spanish flu in 1918, over 100 years ago. The ensuing crisis has disrupted supply chains and exerted undue pressure on economic and financial systems, killed businesses and jobs. Developing and emerging economies, including Ghana, have had to deal with external headwinds, falling commodity prices, and rising expenditures to address the effects of the pandemic. The International Monetary Fund has estimated that the global economy contracted by 3.5%, while global trade also contracted by 9.6%. The COVID-19 pandemic has upended the economies of over 150 countries and is the worst economic crisis since the Great Depression in the 1930s. The Speaker, for the first time in our 64 years of nationhood, the government has had to tackle an unforgiving simultaneous health and economic crisis. The outbreak and the ensuing partial lockdown to contain the spread of the virus and protect lives and livelihoods brought socio-economic activities to a visual standstill, with the resultant loss of jobs, incomes, collapse of businesses, and loss of government revenues. Mr. Speaker, from the onset of the COVID-19 pandemic in March 2020, His Excellency the President laid out 5 key objectives government sought to achieve. 1, limit and stop the importation of the virus. 2, contain its spread. 3, provide adequate care for the sick. 4, limit the impact of the virus on social and economic life. And 5, inspire the expansion of our domestic capability and deepening our self-reliance. The President made it an utmost priority to protect Ghanaian lives and above all else. This is captured in his now world-famous quotation, and I quote, "We know what to do to bring our economy back to life. What we do not know how to do is to bring people back to life," unquote. Under his leadership, the country took the required swift, drastic, and decisive measures to mitigate the spread of the pandemic. We rapidly mobilized and deployed extensive internal and external resources to support Ghanaian households and enterprises. Speaker, at this juncture, permit me to acknowledge the support of our development partners, namely the International Monetary Fund, the World Bank, the African Development Bank, the European Union, and other bilateral partners who made available significant resources to complement our efforts. Mr. Speaker, the drastic slowdown in economic activity led to a huge drop in domestic revenues, combined with sharp and unplanned hike in COVID-related expenditures. In sum, this unprecedented crisis led to, one, a sudden shortfall in government revenues amounting to 13.6 billion Ghana cedis, and two, an unexpected and unavoidable rise in expenditures of 11.7 billion Ghana cedis. The Speaker, through government's Emergency Preparedness and Response Plan, ERP 1 and 2, as well as the Coronavirus Alleviation Program, CAP, we undertook the following measures. One, provided financial clearance to employ additional 24,285 health professionals between March and June to help fight the pandemic. Two, expanded the capacities of laboratories to increase COVID-19 testing and established isolation centers in all regions and districts. We provided 3.6 million reusable face masks, 50,000 medical scrubs, 90,000 hospital gowns and head covers to health facilities as of June 2020. We provided 50% of basic salary as allowances for frontline health workers, waived income tax for all healthcare workers, waived income tax on 50% additional allowances paid to frontline health workers, absorbed the transport costs and cost of sustenance for contact tracers and field surveillance officers, fully recovered water consumption for all Ghanaians from April to December 2020, and fully covered the power consumption of over 1 million Lifeline customers and subsidized the consumption of all other customers by 50%. Rolled out the 750 million Ghana cedis caps and buzz programs in May 2020 to directly support micro, small, and medium-sized enterprises. We established a 2 billion guarantee facility to support all large enterprises and for job retention. 12, 100 million Ghana cedi fund for labor and faith-based organizations for retraining and skills development. An unemployment insurance scheme to provide temporary income support to workers who were laid off due to the pandemic. 14, we transferred over 50 million to 400,000 most vulnerable individuals under the LEAP program. Provided cooked meals to 2.744723 vulnerable persons and worked with faith-based organizations to distribute dry food packages to 470,000 families. We provided hot meals for 584,000 final year junior high school students and 146,000 staff of public and private schools from August 24th to September 18, 2020 as they wrote their final examinations. We supplied 5.2 million reusable face masks, 64,000 Veronica buckets, 8,100 thermometer guns, and in excess of 1.5 million pieces of 200 ml of hand sanitizers, as well as over 126,000 gallons of soap to enable schools reopening. We paid WASI examination fees amounting to 75.4 million for 314,000 third-year senior high school students, reduced the communication service from 9% to 10% support students and workers who have adopted online platforms to study and work. extended due dates for filing of taxes from 4 to 6 months after the end of the financial year. We permitted the deduction of contributions and donations towards the pandemic as allowable expenses for income tax purposes. We waived VAT, NHIL, and Get Fund levy on donations of stock of equipment and goods for fighting the pandemic. We waived income taxes on third-tier pension withdrawal. We fumigated schools, hospitals, markets, and lorry parks. We took vigorous public sensitization and engagement exercise to inform and educate Ghanaians on the pandemic. And 26, we paid all public sector salaries in full. Mr. Speaker, with revenue slumping and COVID-related expenditures rising, the Akufo-Addo government was tested beyond measure. We believe it is fair to say that we rose to this extraordinary challenge. Indeed, despite the squeeze, government succeeded in protecting virtually all jobs and incomes in public sector. What the people of Ghana have witnessed since the coronavirus pandemic, and to the admiration of the rest of the world, is the leadership of conviction that is responsible, creative, courageous, decisive, and above all, very caring. Mr. Speaker, through our decisive policy response, we have managed to achieve major results that have made it easier for the people to cope with this unprecedented crisis. For example, our response through CAP has been vital in preventing social dislocations, deeper economic scarring, and damage to our economic prospects. These additional government expenditures in the face of declining revenues were necessary to save lives, protect livelihoods, and safeguard economic activities. Speaker, today, Ghana is better positioned to recover and rebuild an even more resilient economy, not only because we know how to do it, but also because the grace of God has been assured for this journey. Mr. Speaker, in the 3 years prior to the pandemic, as a government, we had a plan. We stayed focused, kept our discipline, kept our promises, and worked with integrity, creativity, and compassion. As a result, the economy saw a turnaround and economic growth rate doubled, rebounding strongly from 3.4% in 2016 to average 7% annually. The Speaker, the banking sector cleanup had been completed. Businesses were doing well and creating jobs. Food production was enjoying a bumper harvest, and suddenly Ghana had become a major tourist attraction. We were indeed on a path of fiscal consolidation by 2019 and poised for economic transformation. Then out of nowhere, Mr. Speaker, the COVID-19 global pandemic hit us. Mr. Speaker, the history of Ghanaians is a story of resilience, faith in God, and ingenuity when faced with adversities and uncertainties. And so we proceeded from 2017 with discipline, hard work, and cooperation to get Ghana back to work. We took a severely challenged economy and restored its competitiveness within 3 years. In 4 years, against significant opposition, we took a bold step that afforded 1.2 million Ghanaians the opportunity to attain a better and quality secondary school education. We took a financial sector on the brink of collapse, and 4 years cleaned it to build an even stronger financial ecosystem that is well capitalized, liquid, and solvent to fund our progress. In 4 years, we secured a central place in African integration and won the bid to host the Secretariat of the African Continental Free Trade Area. And within the last 4 years, Mr. Speaker, our aggressive industrialization and regional integration agenda successfully attracted and retained the highest foreign direct investment in West Africa, including having global automobile giants setting up base here. Today, world-class vehicles assembled right here in Ghana are selling on our market implying our roots. The message to other global manufacturers is this: from 2021, an integrated Africa is open for business, and Ghana is ready to welcome you to set up here to take advantage of the biggest free trade area in the world. Mr. Speaker, we have come far from 2020. However, we are not fully out of the woods yet. As such, fiscal consolidation has to be carefully balanced with the provision of some targeted fiscal stimuli to cushion the impact of COVID-19 on businesses and to facilitate a quick and strong recovery of our economy, which we aim to achieve through Ghana Cares or Batampa program. Mr. Speaker, it is clear that expenditure on health infrastructure and